Former Melbourne school principal Malka Leifer has been sentenced to 15 years prison for sexually abusing 2 students in her care. Leifer was sentenced for 18 sexual offences dating back 2 decades when she was in charge of the Adass Israel School in Melbourne. Here's the reaction of the 3 sisters who came forward to accuse Leifer of abusing her position of authority.
This is a momentous day to be standing outside court. We feel overwhelmed and grateful that the legal system has recognised and validated the extreme impact of abuse by female perpetrators. Today is a precedent for female perpetrators. Malka Leifer has finally been held accountable. Today's ruling of 15 years recognises the harm and pain that Malka Leifer caused each one of us to suffer over so many years. Trauma from sexual abuse is a lifelong sentence. While no amount of years will ever be sufficient, we are so relieved that Malka Leifer is now in prison for 15 years and cannot prey on anyone else.
It has been 22 years since Malka Leifer arrived in Australia, and her evilness permeated all of our lives. 15 years since she was aided and abetted to flee, leaving behind destroyed lives. 12 years since we walked into the police station and broke through the walls of silence in our community and found a voice we didn't know we had. 6 years since we stood in front of the world and fought for justice, reaching the highest level of government in Australia and Israel, and having a part in changing the conversation of systems that protect abusers. 2 years she was finally extradited to face justice, and then today.
We are here today because we did not give up. And while we know that the onus of justice or fighting for justice should not be up to survivors, this fight was never just for us. We are showing that the voices of survivors will not and cannot be silenced no matter the obstacles. This has been one of the most traumatizing, destabilizing and awful, painful paths to justice. But today really marks the end of this chapter of our lives and opens the chapter to us healing.
I think we all just had a huge intake of relief in the courtroom. Our expectations were so low because female perpetrators are so underreported and we have nothing to base it on. And we just felt very grateful that we actually felt validated in that exact moment. It was almost unbelievable at the same time.
I definitely in that courtroom today felt the pain of my younger self that went through that abuse, and I could feel those emotions coming up as the judge was speaking, and then knowing that that's not where we are anymore, that we're not powerless anymore. That was a very felt sense today.
Well, for more on the sentence, reporter Sasha Payne joins us now from outside court. Sasha, it's been a long time getting to this point. Can you take us back through this case?
Yes, well, as you mentioned before, it's been a very, very lengthy process. These offences occurred between 2004 and 2007, so nearly 2 decades ago for many of them. And the allegations were first made in 2008, and that was shortly after that Malka Leifer went to Israel. She was extradited to Melbourne in 2021 after a very lengthy campaign and first appeared in court earlier this year in February. She was convicted in April of 18 offences and of course sentenced today.
And what did the judge say in handing down this sentence, Sasha?
Well, it was an incredibly lengthy set of remarks. They went for over 3 hours, starting at around 9:30 this morning. He said he laid out the context of Malka Leifer's offending, including the sisters' upbringing in that ultra-Orthodox Jewish community in Melbourne southeast, where Malka Leifer was a teacher and principal at the Adass Israel School. He also set out the context of the abuse and trauma that they suffered at the hands of their mother and in a very neglected childhood as part of his remarks. He described Leifer's offending as predatory and persistent and said the punishment must be significant. Leifer didn't appear in the court today, but she did appear via video link from Dame Phyllis Frost Prison, where she is right now, and showed very little emotion when the sentencing was made.